Chapter 107. Tournament Finals Part 2. The first match was a complete victory for Benimaru. Gozerl need to discipline himself and fix his temper. Anyway, it was decided for him to be secluded alone inside the dungeon. Weighted bangles and anklet will be put on him. It will make him have disadvantage when fighting against the challengers. Even with that handicap, he was still too strong. Looking at the spectators' appearances, even though they didn't comprehend the situation, it looks like they vaguely understand Benimaru's strength. It seems the excitement will continue. Let's have another great battle. Oh well, because the irresponsible announcement and commentary from Sokka, it was impossible to comprehend the current match. Sokka, although I said that you were allowed to give an explanation, however, your specialty is deception to some extent. There is no need to give explanation for this match. Oh well, though there was no plan to expose their true ability. Suddenly I feel that someone was looking at my direction. It was a girl with the slightly long ears that's staring at me. I remember she participates in yesterday's second match and was blown off the grounds instantly. Was she an elf? A half elf? I thought so because her ears were a bit small. There was no need for her to keep her eyes on me. Oh well, it must be my imagination. Near the seat of that girl, there were people who I recognized. They were the Tengus. What, that girl who was the granddaughter of the elder, her face was deep red, although the guards near her seems to call her, but she didn't move a bit. Was she sick? Oh well, if there were something they will say it. So I ponder, and then I leave my seat. Yakisoba, if I don't go quickly, it will be sold out. Though there was no need to eat, I must purchase it before it ran out. After all, it was a delicious food, so it can't be helped. After the lunch break ends, it was time for the start of the next match. The second match, Zoe versus Dagora. There was no need to watch it. It was Zoe's victory. Although it seems Zoe also intended to hold on for exactly 30 minutes without forgetting to service the spectator. He didn't neglect to liven it up. A reliable man was different after all. However, there was a problem, and that was, well then, it's finally starting. It is the match of our Zoe-sama. Contestant Dagora, who have no other redeeming features than having little muscle power. Well then, how will he fight? Against Zoe-sama, I think he's a worthless small fry, but at most I wish for your cooperation to liven up the match. What a favoritism announcement. It was already at the level to feel sorry for Dagora. I interrupted the match at once and declared the change of the announcer. As expected, she overdid it. I will stop using Sokka for Zoe's match. And because of that, Shuna entered and replaced Sokka as the announcer. Different from Sokka, the adorableness and the tidiness of Shuna seizes the spectator's heart in a blink of an eye. That is as if she was using a skill, but it's just her natural charm. Begin. This time for sure, the match was starting. Dagura was, oh, please, look at this, Shondono, the awesomeness of my growth. So he shouts, while cladding his whole body in Toki and Tako himself towards Zoe with intense power. That was just like a huge energy ball. It had the power to blow away the opponent who comes in contact with it. However, it's just an after image. Yes, it's not a clone, but it was a real after image. A small remnant of magic power particles was left behind by the spatial transfer. Since it have mass and presence, the leftover after image body can even be called as a clone. When you use clone technique to the utmost limit at that moment, it will begin to produce false body. It's a super high difficult technique. Even if you acquire the skill, you might not be able to use it. To master it, you have to keep practicing it. Only then you can use the ability well. He appeared behind Dagura, and from his blind spot, an energy ball hit Dagura's nape. The energy ball was as big as a fist, but it didn't have penetration power as strong as Benimaru. However, the effect should be tremendous because it was a blow aiming at the vital point. By the way, when Benimaru defeated Gazerl with one blow, he uses the energy that he had tempered for 30 minutes. The Yuki was denser than it usually emitted. It's refined with the addition of penetration attribute. Because it has the disposition to break through magic barrier to defend against that pure aura was impossible. Against superior enemy than us that mastered the use of multiple barriers, this was one of the effective special technique. So its energy ball this time did not have penetration power that strong. It's just a normal condensed energy ball. And yet Dagora was kneeling on one knee after being hit by that attack precisely on the nape of the neck. You're good, although I judge you only as a bug who just following Shondono. You are quite strong. Just because you're a bit popular, don't get carried away, you know. Even your certain kill hit, it won't be able to inflict even a wound on this great me, eh? Dagara, what do you say if you say like that? What about the telephone punch that you made while kneeling? A wound, wasn't that obvious that the aim was not that? My promise was unrelated. Dagara was raising his toki. The leaked out Yoki filled the inside of the barrier. The air near Daguta's surroundings clearly made a strange fluctuation and started to drift away. The density was so high that the normal spectator can see it. Certainly only this fellow's energy was a demon lord class. However, he still didn't understand how to use it at all. That was the reason why he was sent and came to this country to study. Also, it will soon hit the 30 minutes mark. It will end with the next attack. Take this, my best attack, Forest Blusterrot of Mother Nature. It was a haphazard attack technique. With all of his strength, he didn't think about defense at all. If described in one word, he is an idiot. He concentrates all of the yuki that cladding his body on one point, and then he discharged it towards Zoe. It was spread, yet it concentrated only at one point. There is no way to escape. A full offensive technique. But that's only if the opponent can't use transfer. Wahahaha, though you transfers and run away, I will pursue you anywhere. To pursue an opponent that's teleporting, are you really able to do that? Because it was inside the barrier, he will soon discover him. Anyway, I spot a problem on that technique. The greatest problem was, it didn't leave any Yuki for defense. If the attack he received just then was a killing blow, then he will be defeated. It was the basic to value defense more than offense. And then 30 minutes passed. So we just uninterestingly transferred from place to place, just when the time became 30 minutes. That sentence Hazel Life Reaping Slash weak version, a one-step kill, two katana inside one blade, a sword that can attack even the soul, physical and spiritual, a sword with different purposes. This time, a blow with katana that killed the soul. If he uses a skill, he would inflict a fatal damage. If Zoe was not going easy on his opponent, he will already be dead by now. It just striking with the back of the sword. So Shuna explains, the spectator was clapping and cheering, but it was a frightening technique. Originally, it can cut till the soul, but so he stopped it exactly before it caught the soul. This guy, not only he fights by using thread, his sword skill is also excellent. Really, I don't know which one was the better between Zoe and Benimaru. Hearing this, Wisdom King Raphael tries to tell me, but I pass. I want to hold on the anticipation. With this, the second match ended. The third match, Gobta versus Hiro Masayuki. Well then, the highlight of this match was with whether the Hiro Masayuki was the real thing or not. Though the Hiro Masayuki's leg seems to tremble a bit. Was this guy trembling with excitement? Really? Was he really the same as Hinata? I paid my attention to the grounds. Masayuki spoke. Nice to meet you. My name is Honjo Masayuki. What are I'm doing right now? That is what I want to know. In front of me stands a slightly cool warrior. It is a hobgoblin. According to what the announcer Onesan said, hobgoblin, she must be lying. How can she said such a cool warrior evolves from a goblin? Or rather, such thing is not important. The problem is for what reason I am in a Colosseum-like place and become the opponent of that hobgoblin. That is what I want to ask. This, no matter how you look at it, is a duel right now. No way, seriously, I will fight. 1 year has not passed since Masayuki came to this world. The place he arrived was called Ingrasha Kingdom. He don't understand the reason why he's somehow on that place. Then he was helped by a boy who introduces himself as the leader of Freedom Association. Though Masayuki thinks that the boy was on the same generation like him, but the boy said that it has been more than 10 years since he came here. That boy was Kagurazaka Yuki. He was taking care of Masayuki who didn't understand anything. However, from that time, Masayuki's head started to become hazy. At that time, he felt his behavior became like someone else. Just remember it right now. Masayuki realized that he possessed unique skill, the chosen one. He think at that time he consulted about it to Yuki. It was a story of the time when 3 months have not yet passed since he came here. Unique skill, the chosen one. The effect of the skill was tremendous. There will be an excellent explanation for him for every action the opponent takes. Whatever he does will result as a heroic act and will be praised. It was such an unfair ability. Moreover, because Masayuki himself attracted super good luck, the result of his normal attack will become critical hit. Well, although the level of Masayuki's kendo's skill was just at a hobby level, so it's not a big deal, but he was peerless against bandits or low-class monsters. Masayuki entered the Freedom Association by the recommendation of Yuki and began as adventurer. At that time, he thinks that his abnormally high offensive ability was not unnatural when compared with the others. This is when Masayuki first noticed his ability. However, the real frightening thing about this ability was another. The effect was also applied to the companions of Masayuki. And also, even if it was a deed done by his companion, everything will become Masayuki's achievements. In other words, all attack of his companions will also become critical hit, as they received his blessing, and every admiration for his companions will become Masayuki's. If you remember, because Masayuki possessed the desire to become a hero, it brings forth this ability. When Masayuki consulted about this ability to Yuki, it seemed a smile sprout on Yuki's face. After that, his head turns hazy. Day after day, he started to feel like he was becoming someone else. Masayuki and his companions grew at an overwhelming speed. After around half a year has passed, he was called as the hero. He also participated in Ingratia's tournament, but he easily became the champion. Anyway, just by drawing his sword out, the opponent declared, "I give up," and defeated. The spectator who saw it seems to misunderstand it as an instantaneous attack. But actually, there was nothing happening at all. It was one of the effects of unique skill, the chosen one. They just got hit by the hero's haki. To oppose this ability, if it was not a unique skill holder with equal power, then the opponent couldn't resist it. However, it's never been said that it was an omnipotent ability. And yet Masayuki, who until yesterday didn't have any doubt, we are invincible. We can win against any kind of opponent. Even if it was baseless, he still believed in it. Why? I believe in such foolish delusion. Or rather, I want to run away. I really want to run away. While in confusion, Masayuki tries to comprehend the situation desperately. If things like this, it was better if his head remains in haze. So, to begin with, why has the haze cleared up? That was the question Masayuki had. He remembered last night he went and saying this things like, "Prepare yourself, the one who will defeat you is this me," to the silver-haired boy, who was the demon lord. Then, "Oh, really? Do your best." While saying that, he or she taps his shoulder, and then when he sleeps at night, his head feels refreshed. He awake properly. Why am I in this place? It was his judgment on his current situation. No, the memory was intact, but he doesn't understand why things had become like this. Honestly, as just by remembering what he had said, he was surprised by the excessive emotion. The trust in the looks of the companions he brought with him, he felt shaken by the excessive emotions from it. So the third match finally starting. What kind of bewitching fight will it be between the greatest young warrior of Tempest and the hero Masayuki? Well, now, the two is staring at each other at the center. Crap, there's really no time. Masayuki's mind became flustered. Normally, he would have an exhaustible curiosity about how the announcer Onesan tail connected to her bottom. However, he don't have it now. He turns his gaze to the opponent. Then was it a coincidence? Their gaze perfectly met each other. If he watched carefully, the opponent was also nervous. The opponent seems can't settle down. It resembles the appearance of the opponent in Ingratia's tournament. So Masayuki thought, though the haze was cleared up, it doesn't mean his ability disappeared. Then wasn't the effect of turning his every action into something that's considered as a heroic act also still remained? If that's true, even if he ran away from here, the spectator might interpret it as such, right? All right, then let's go, Masayuki decided it. After all, if the match begins, he will end up got beaten up. Even if his ability can influence his current opponent, he was uncertain if it can be used on the next opponent. Because even though he only took a glance at that large black wolf and the dragon warrior, it doesn't seem to be an opponent he could win against. Even with weapon made from mithril, he doesn't think it's possible to penetrate that steel fur and the scales. Here, let's run away. That is not a mistake. What excuse would he make? He suddenly thought about such things, but he chooses to leave without saying anything. He was shy. He thought various good excuses. That's right. There are the spectators. So he thinks, wait, this much? I withdraw. He frantically tries to mask his trembling voice and only say things to that extent. And then without any additional remarks, he immediately turns his back and left. Having to concentrate this much to move his legs, it was the first experience in his life. Thus, Masayuki carried out a magnificent escape from the biggest pinch in his whole lifetime. Masayuki's Pov and staring at each other in the center of the stage were Govta and Masayuki, and yet Masayuki suddenly declared a withdrawal, and then he left the place immediately. As expected, was he only a bluffing brat, or there were some other intentions? Govta was taking God's pose, but oh, an unexpected happening. It was an unexpected withdrawal from from the contestant hero Masayuki. However, given the current situation, he will able to see contestant Gobta's true ability in the next match. Is his opponent contestant Gabil or is it contestant Ranga? Please look forward for it. So was the announcement from Soka, who returned on this match. She seems to have recalled the next opponent. Immediately, Gobsta's face turned pale. If it's like this, it had been better if I was defeated right now, Sue. So was the audible voice that comes from Gobsta's heart. Though the spectators began to become noisy, that's it. Is it because he in front of the Demon Lord, he can't be serious. Now that you mention it, because the Demon Lord didn't participate in this tournament, he withdraw. Well, isn't it because he won't be able to fight the Demon Lord that he doesn't have a reason to stick around? In any case, the strongest one will be made clear as black and white. So he didn't have a hobby to beat up the subordinates except for the Demon Lord himself, as expected from Hiro Masayuki, and so forth. They start to consent with the astonishing explanation. Then, Masayuki, Masayuki. It has become a large chorus. To this cheering, Masayuki answered by raising one hand, although his action was a bit clumsy. What is this? Is this a religion? I somewhat felt startled by it. Why does just by declining to a match, he received such high evaluation? I can't understand what the people were thinking, but why he stopped the match suddenly. Solution. Last night, because the contact with Master, the brainwashing by Yuki was lifted off. That is the result from his judgment. Ah, so that was it. Or rather, I can lift it with my Yuki. His last night conditions must be because the effect of the brainwashing, thought manipulation. However, if the brainwashing was cleared suddenly, then he must be feeling nervous. It then leads to him withdrawing. Did he decide that action after he thinks about it desperately? If that's the case, it was wonderful one. I need to commend him later. He was a good example of Japanese person. I want to hear his stories too. I will ask Hakoto later to make sushi. However, I will need to ask him to come. Anyway, though it was unexpected, the third match also ended. The fourth match, Gabil versus Ranga. Well then, it was the final match for today. This match, frankly, I already know the outcome. So pitiful. No matter how hard he works, there was no chance for Gabil to win. As I thought, Gabil began to attack Ranga with his spear as soon as the starting signal was given, but it was repelled by Ranga's fur, so the attack didn't reach. The compatibility was the worst as well. Vortex of water was produced. It tried to seize Ranga, but the vortex momentum was killed by Ranga's Tempest ability. Her attacks from the sky too, but because Ranga has acquired the ability to run in the sky, it can't become an advantage for Gabil. Obviously, the breath attacks also are useless against Ranga. This was a very unlucky luck. He met an opponent he can't win against. Was it the side effect of Tuner? There was a time where he was lucky, but there are also times where he was unlucky. Although it's easy for him to be lucky at critical moment, but I think on the other occasions his bad luck will come out. Last time, like when he was fighting against the Holy Knights, it might be the result because he was lucky. Thanks to that, this time the situation becomes like this. Well now, the attack from Gabriel ends, and everything will end up useless. The rest was the delightful play time for Ranga. It was harsh too. Since Gauta win the last match by default, the match remaining time was added onto this match. For 1 whole hour, Ranga will be playing to his heart's content. Oh well, it becomes a training for Gabil. It also becomes a good appeal for the spectators. Gabil, do your best. I'm cheering for Gabil inside my mind, and I join my hands for prayer. Cute. So number 5, Yoki is demonic aura. Oh, okay. End of chapter 107.